Imagine giving your best to a company, staying late, covering shifts, and making sure every detail is perfect. Now imagine your boss calling you into the office one morning and telling you that you're suspended, without a single warning, without a single chance to explain. That's exactly what happened to me. And let me tell you, it wasn't just unfair. It was humiliating. But the twist? Just a few days later, the same boss who pushed me aside was practically on his knees, begging me to come back after one powerful phone call. It all started with a regular Monday. I came in early, as always, coffee in hand, determined to finish the report that the entire management team was waiting on. By lunchtime, I was confident the project would be praised. But instead of recognition, I was called into the boss's office. He didn't even look at me properly. Just said, "You're suspended. Effective immediately." No explanation. No discussion. No second chances. I walked out of that office with my head spinning. My coworkers stared, whispering as I packed my things. To them, it must have looked like I had done something horrible. But I knew the truth. I had been set up. Someone wanted me out of the way. That night, sitting on my couch, replaying everything in my head, anger started to rise. This wasn't just about losing a few days of work. This was about my reputation, my dignity, and my career. And if I didn't fight back, everything I had worked for would be destroyed. What my boss didn't know is that I wasn't just an employee who would take this quietly. I had connections. People who respected me far beyond the walls of that company. And with just one phone call, I could turn the tables. But before I made that call, I wanted answers. Why was I suspended? Who was behind it? And most importantly, how could I make sure that not only I got justice, but that everyone in that office would know the truth about what really happened? The first night after suspension was sleepless. My phone kept buzzing with texts from colleagues asking what happened. Some were genuinely worried. Others were just curious, maybe even happy I was gone. That's the thing about workplaces. Some people smile at you during meetings, but secretly celebrate your downfall. I thought back to the weeks before this incident. I remembered how I had been working on a deal that could bring millions into the company. It wasn't just any deal, it was the kind of project that could shape my career. I had put in endless hours, sacrificed weekends, and made sure every detail was perfect. But along the way, I noticed something strange. My boss, instead of encouraging me, seemed threatened. He asked unnecessary questions, demanded updates every hour, and even assigned other people to oversee my work. It didn't make sense at first. Why would he treat me this way when my success was supposed to be his success too? But now, after being suspended without warning, the picture became clear. My boss didn't want me to shine. He wanted me out of the way so he could take credit for my work, and it wasn't just him. I remembered a colleague, someone I thought was my friend, who once slipped and said, "Be careful. Not everyone here wants to see you succeed." At the time, I brushed it off. But now it was obvious. Someone had been feeding my boss lies, twisting my dedication into something negative. But here's the truth. I wasn't going to sit back and watch my career get destroyed by office politics. I had worked too hard, and I had people outside the company who knew my worth. The kind of people who, with one phone call, could remind my boss exactly who he was dealing with. Still, before I made that move, I wanted proof. If I exposed them, I wanted the entire office to see the truth. Because revenge wasn't enough. I wanted justice. The next day, I walked into the office, not as an employee, but as a silent observer. Suspension didn't mean I was banned from entering the building. I wasn't going to sit at home while my reputation was being shredded. I wanted to see for myself what was happening inside. I kept my head high as I entered. Some people avoided eye contact. Others gave me pitying looks. But I didn't care. I walked straight past them, went to my desk, and collected some files I had left behind. On the way, I overheard whispers. My name. Accusations. Lies. One colleague, thinking I was too far to hear, said he was caught mishandling funds. Another added, I heard he leaked company data. My blood boiled. None of it was true. But I realized something. This was the story my boss was letting spread. By keeping quiet, by suspending me without explanation, he allowed these rumors to become facts. That was the moment I knew this wasn't just about me being suspended. This was a calculated move to destroy my name, so he could rise higher. He wanted me erased, but he underestimated me. I wasn't powerless. I had something he didn't: respect outside the company. I had worked on projects with government officials, investors, and partners who trusted me more than they trusted anyone in that office. That night, I finally picked up the phone. I dialed a number I hadn't called in a long time. It was someone powerful, someone my boss would never dare cross. As the phone rang, I thought about everything: my humiliation, the lies, the whispers. By the time the call was answered, I had only one thought in my mind. It was time to take control. The voice on the other end was calm, powerful, and familiar. It belonged to a man who had once told me, "If you ever need me, just call." He wasn't just a friend. He was a client, a mentor, and someone whose influence reached places my boss couldn't even dream of. Did I explain the situation quickly? I didn't have to exaggerate. Just telling the truth was enough to shock him. He knew me. He knew my work ethic. And he knew that if I was being suspended, something wasn't right. His response was simple: "Leave this to me." The next morning, my boss's phone rang. I wasn't there to see it, but I heard from others what happened. His face went pale. His hands trembled as he listened. It was that one phone call. The call that changed everything. By afternoon, I received a message from HR. "Can you come in tomorrow? We need to discuss your situation." Suddenly, the same people who had been silent while I was humiliated now wanted to meet. And my boss, the man who had suspended me so confidently, was suddenly nervous, but I wasn't satisfied yet. I wanted him to face me. I wanted him to explain why he thought he could throw me away like trash. And more importantly, I wanted everyone in that office to see who really held the power. When I walked into the office for the HR meeting, the energy had completely changed. People who had avoided me just days ago now greeted me with 4 smiles. Whispers followed me again, but this time, the tone was different, confused, even fearful. I sat across from HR, and there he was, my boss. He looked smaller than I remembered. No arrogance in his eyes this time. Just discomfort. HR began with a rehearsed apology, talking about miscommunication and procedural errors. But I didn't let it slide. I looked my boss directly in the eye and asked, "Why?" He stuttered. For the first time, he didn't have control. And that's when I realized he wasn't afraid of losing me. He was afraid of the man I had called. He was afraid of the connections I had outside this company. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. My silence, my calmness, it was enough. Because everyone in that room knew the truth. The suspension wasn't about mistakes or misconduct.